Kermit the Frog here. I am Kermit. I am not Constantine. As you can see, I have no more. It's just me, Kermit the Frog here. And today I will be doing a movie review for Tom Richardson. But it looks like he's right behind me. Yeah, Constantine, go away. This isn't your review. So, hey guys, welcome to my movie review for Muppets Most Wanted. Yes, I do have a Kermit the Frog puppet from back in the day. Um, Something that my parents gave me a very long time ago. So I thought it'd be appropriate for this review. And since there's two Kermit the Frogs in this movie, it'd be appropriate that I also did the Constantine voice to represent the Constantine character in this movie, who looks and sounds like Kermit the Frog but has a huge mole on his face. So, Muppets Most Wanted, you guys, for the storyline for this film, basically it takes place right after where the previous 2011 film ended, where we even see like the backs of Amy Adams and Jason Segel, and the Muppets are offered a an opportunity by a character played by Ricky Gervais. His name is Dominic Bad Guy, or Bad G as he likes to pronounce it. And he's offering them an opportunity to take a world tour, to take their Muppet show all around the world, to let everybody around the world have their own opportunity to have a live Muppet show on their stage. They would go to major cities and do it. And so, no, at first, Kermit is a little hesitant about this. He's not really quite sure if he can trust this Dominic Bad G guy. And, there's just so many things about doing that he wasn't quite comfortable with. But Walter, who was from the previous Muppet film, he was one of the new Muppets, and a bunch of the other Muppets eventually convince Kermit to take the offer, so they do. And while they're about to start their world tour, Kermit gets kidnapped by a frog that looks and sounds exactly like Kermit, named Constantine, who is a wanted criminal. And he tries to basically take Kermit's position. He tries to be Kermit. And how he does this is he gets everybody what they want, because Kermit was very strict about this. And so to make everybody happy, he gives them everything that they want, make sure that things aren't suspicious, that he has replaced Kermit. And the reason why Constantine and Dominic Badgie want to be a part of the Muppet crew is because while the Muppet shows are going on all across the world, they're going to be stealing these really famous valuables in nearby museums where the Muppet shows are taking place. And so they want to make sure that people really think that this is Kermit and things like that, and so they can steal all these valuables and get really rich. And eventually, some of the Muppets they start to not be fooled after a while by the whole thing. They start to recognize that Constantine has some very different things that Kermit would never do, and so they get suspicious about that. And so basically, throughout the rest of the story, they try to set things right, try to get the Muppet Show back to where it once was, and before Dominic Badgie and Constantine tried to ruin their show for them. So Muppets Most Wanted, you guys, I really enjoyed this film. In fact, I know a lot of people absolutely loved the 2011 film. I thought the previous one was just okay. I liked the nostalgia value. I liked seeing the Muppets on the big screen again. But there's just certain aspects of the storyline that felt really messy to me, specifically around the last act of the movie. But Muppets Most Wanted was very much, I can definitely see where they took the last film, James Bowman, who directed both films, this one and the previous one. I can kind of see where he looked back at the previous film and be like, what can I do to improve upon this? What can I do for next time that will really make an impression on people when they see this new Muppet film? And I'm really glad he did that. It really had I definitely, looking back at the previous film and, observing this film, I can definitely see a lot of changes that were actually for the better. Even though from reviews right now, it seems like not a lot of people seem to like this Muppet film as much as the previous one. I'm kind of shocked because there's a lot of things that this film does that the previous Muppet film did not do. And there's a lot of things that the previous Muppet film did that this film avoided that, the first film shouldn't have done to begin with. So for my positives and negatives of the film, I think there's some really fun songs throughout this movie. I would say even the songs in this film are even better than the previous one, and that is saying a lot since the previous Muppet film did win Best Original Song at the Oscar Awards for that year. The Jason Segel Muppet or a Man, I think is what it was called. Yeah, I think almost every song in this film, specifically the sequel song at the beginning of the movie, I think is a really fun original song that they were able to come up for this movie. This film's a fun time. I was entertained the whole way through. I never really got bored. So if you're looking for a fun time, Muppets Most Wanted is definitely your film. It dedicates a lot of time to the storyline, which is very good, which is something that the first film didn't do a lot. It just really dedicated a lot of time, really making sure that the storyline was well constructed, that it was going the right direction. And I really appreciate that. I really like how it wasn't just strictly comedy, it wasn't just strictly Muppets. They really dedicated a lot of time to make sure that the storyline in this was really the best that they can possibly make it. Overall, I think this film does have a better storyline than the first film. It just feels much better constructed. Um, I like the pacing a little bit better. Like I said, it was just an overall better time. I thought that's one thing I can really say about this film is it was just a much better time. I thought. Tina Fey and Ricky Gervais were a lot of fun in this. Tina Fey was a security guard of this prison that people thought when Kermit was Constantine. She basically has to supervise Kermit in this prison. Ricky Gervais is Dominic Badgie, who's one of the villains of the movie. Both were a lot of fun. That's saying a lot because I'm not a huge Ricky Gervais fan, but he really knocked it out of the park here. He really did a very good job here. So both him and Tina Fey really knew how to work with these Muppets, and that's really saying a lot to me. I think the story itself had Muppet nostalgia. I liked how the storyline in this very much felt like the Great Muppet Caper. And in some ways, it almost felt like the original Muppet film in a way. And it was able to be its own thing, and it was able to be itself, and I really appreciate that. I just really like how it gave me that nostalgia value while also being a little bit different than what we've seen before. It definitely took the Muppets in a little different direction than we haven't seen them yet, and I thought that was a lot of fun seeing that in this movie. A lot of really neat Muppet films have a lot of neat Muppet moments happen in this film where each Muppet gets their own moment to shine here. I know this is one thing that I don't really understand why people were complaining about because Gonzo had his bowl scene moment, and even though the chef had a small role in it, I thought for the small role that he had, it was pretty neat. Beaker and the scientist that he's always working with get a lot to do, and the suit that's introduced with Beaker early on in the film, it's actually significant later on in the plot. So just a lot of really neat Muppet film, a lot of neat Muppet moments that they've done in this movie. And then I think one of my biggest compliments I can make about the movie is the Constantine Kermit. A lot of fun. It was fun to kind of see how he was covering up everything, how he really didn't want people to think that it was another person. He really wanted people to think that he was the real Kermit the Frog, even though he wasn't trying at all. It was basically the same voice that he had, and it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Constantine Kermit character that they used in the movie. Now, for the negatives of this film, I do think there is too many plot and solution conveniences, such as every Muppet Show is exactly right next to the museum that they're going to be stealing from. I think that's way too convenient. They literally just went into the basement of this where the Muppet Show was going on, and they drilled a hole in the wall. And there they were, right in the museum next door. I think this is way too convenient for a plot like this, and I don't know. I can't help but note that it's definitely a huge notable flaw to me. I thought this film needed more and better jokes. There are some pretty good jokes for the most part, but I would definitely say this film's more entertaining than funny, and that's not a bad thing. Being entertaining is a very positive thing to say about the film, but I do think some better and bigger and just more jokes would have really helped the film because I wanted to laugh more so than I did. So I guess that's one negative about the film I can say. And then this is more on a personal level. I'm not a huge Ty Burrell fan. I'm not a big Modern Family fan. So going into this film, knowing that Ty Burrell was going to be in this, I'm looking like, I don't know about this. And I was right. Ty Burrell, I think, could have been recasted. He had a very generic approach to his character. He played one of the detectives who was, trying to figure out, who was stealing all these valuables, and he thinks it's the Muppets for a while, and very generic performance. I really think a better, bigger actor would have been a better choice. Christoph Waltz had a special appearance in this film as himself. I think even he would have been a better choice as a detective, and maybe him and Ty Burrell could have switched. Just I'm not a huge Ty Burrell fan, and it definitely showed. It just I really didn't think he was a good enough actor to play this big part for this film. I think the film also becomes a musical at the wrong times. It really became a musical at the wrong time where it was a huge, significant plot point, where Ty Burrell and this Muppet detective are, they're trying to question everybody from the Muppets and everything. They try to do it in a musical number, and I really don't think it works. Out of all the musical numbers they've done in this film, I think that's the most flawed piece or the flawed, musical number they've done. And it wasn't just that song. There was a few other times like, okay, come on, give me a break. They're doing another song. Um, and I think the film's entertaining enough. To be, in all honesty, I don't think they needed as many songs as they had because when they, besides the Ty Burrell one, like the sequel song at the beginning and the one that the Constantine Frog did in one scene with the with Miss Piggy, I thought that was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I think they did the musical number thing at the wrong times for certain scenes. But overall, guys, I do give Muppets Most Wanted an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is a really fun Muppet film. If you love the Muppets, if you love Jim Henson and what he did, it's definitely worth checking out. There is a few flaws about it, just be forewarned. But at the same time, I do think, for me personally anyway, I like this film much better than the previous Muppet films. So if you liked the previous Muppet film, I think you're going to really like this one. Um, I highly recommend it. It's a very good film. Be sure to check out Muppets Most Wanted.